Hi, and welcome to the Slack Spring Cleaning Series. This is episode 2, Optimize Your Slack Workspace for Slack AI and Agentforce. My name is Byron Chopek. I am a Slack certified consultant and Slack certified administrator. So the purpose of today's talk is to just kind of help you find Slack data that might be living outside of your Slack workspace, and kind of a way to find that data, put it all together, and then have it so that way you can get better insights from Slack's native AI tools and Agentforce. So let me just reintroduce myself. My name is Byron Chopek. I have been working within Slack ecosystem for about 5 years, working for clients in the e-discovery, finance, cybersecurity, fast food range, just to kind of help them get the most out of their Slack investment, not just from a technical standpoint, but also from a collaboration standpoint. And as you'll see kind of in this talk, from a migration and data management kind of standpoint. So let me just kind of real quick take you through our agenda of what we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about the role of data in Slack AI and why it's important and what exactly we consider data, where your data is, and kind of how to find it. We'll take you through 2 different phases. So there's the finding the data, which is going to be phase 1, domain claiming, and then phase 2, the workspace migration, where we're actually going to pull it in together. And then finally, we're going to wrap up and show you the benefits of why doing all this hard work of finding all this data and putting it all together is worthwhile. So in addition to my Slack administration consulting duties, I also am a community chapter leader in Chicago. And we put on events, all the time, both virtually and in person. The in-person events we like to actually do within the Salesforce offices, but I always forget how exactly do I book that. Well, there's a really great resource that I can use Slack AI for within what's called our community workspace. So the Slack community workspace, if you join the Slack community, you get membership into it and you get a chance to kind of test out new features, including like Slackbot, other new AI tools that Slack is doing before most of the general public. And then you also can talk with, I'm in there, so if you ever have a question, feel free to ask me, but there's also a lot of other great chapter members all over the world that can kind of help you out there. So let's just kind of show you kind of a demo of why it's important to have all this data together and how it makes it all work. So like I said before, if I go up to the search bar at the top here, and I just ask a basic question, how do I submit a request for a meeting space in the Chicago offices? So I'll click on that question there, and you'll notice in the search bar here, there's a bunch of things that'll come up, but you'll notice everything in this purple. And everything in this purple is that AI result kind of giving me a step-by-step idea of how exactly I would go about booking this, because, things kind of get, there's a little conversation here, a little conversation here. This kind of just pulls it all together. And you'll notice those little numbers on there. If I click on those numbers, those are actually annotations. That'll take me directly to the information that I'm looking for. So if there's say a work, hey, use this workflow, I'll click on the link there. It'll take me to the workflow, so that way I can have everything booked and everything ready to go for my in-person event. So let's kind of give a hypothetical here. So let's say all this information does not live within the Slack community workspace. It lives in a completely separate workspace that's not connected. If it lives in that completely different workspace, it's not connected, we're not able to pull information like this. Your AI is really only as good as the information that it's kind of gleaning from and understanding. So where is all of our data? So the issue that we kind of run into is that data could be in multiple different workspaces that are outside of your enterprise grid. So real quick, Slack kind of comes in 2 different flavors. There's your one workspace that you can either spin up for free or pay for a subscription. And then there's what's called enterprise grid. And enterprise grid is basically a bunch of different workspaces that live under kind of one roof together, and they can communicate with each other that way. So if I'm in the Slack community workspace and everything about how to book everything in Chicago lives in a completely different leadership workspace that I am not a part of, that's where I'm falling into this brick wall here. So I don't really know how exactly to book anything from this. I can't gather that information. So what I want to do is I want to take this Slack community leader workshop space and migrate it and bring it into the enterprise grid. Now you're probably asking yourself, okay, why does this happen? If you're familiar with a term called shadow IT, what shadow IT is basically, let's say I have a team about 5 or 6 people. We really like Slack. Our company's not using it at the time. So what do? I just pull out corporate Amex. I buy a couple licenses. We're off and running. Now, I do want to just really quick note, this is not best practices within a company. Always kind of best practices to work with your IT team and work with your procurement team so that way all this comes together. But we're not going to judge in this sense. And a lot of times, too, people will start up a Slack workspace and kind of forget that they had it out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you through into our first phase, which is called domain claiming. So what domain claiming basically does is if you have an enterprise grid, you can register your company's domain with Slack to basically stop any new workspaces that are being created with your company's email address. So let's say I work at Nabisco. I have byron@nabisco.com. I can't take that email address and try to create a brand new workspace. It's when we do the domain claiming, it's going to stop me, and it's basically going to redirect me to my IT team and say, okay, you want to start up a new workspace, you need to go to your IT team, and then they can start it up within the enterprise grid if it's needed. So in order to get this domain claiming, what you're going to need to do is you need to gather all your domain info. So company domains that are kind of easy identifiable it's going to be kind of pretty easy to do. But if you have multiple different domains or multiple different brands, it's best to kind of gather all that information together. And what you're going to do is you want to make sure you kind of have either a corporate website showing the link of all these other companies and domains, an official publicly available company registrar, an article in an independent third-party news site that's dated within the last 6 months that can come back to you, or business registration documents such as articles of incorporation or equivalent. If you have any best case scenario, I've always said is if you have registrar of domains, best to kind of have that registrar together, because that'll kind of basically what you want to do is you just want to prove, hey, we own this domain, so that way Slack can block it. So once you have all the information together, you're going to have your primary org owner or any other org owner submit a request to claim the domains at feedback@slack.com. It usually takes them about 1 to 3 business days to process it, but once they process it, they'll let you know, okay, your domain is claimed. And from there, you can contact your CSM to get what's called the domain audit list. And the domain audit list is basically going to show you all of those people who took the little corporate card, created something before the domain claiming, and you'll get that list so you can kind of see, okay, what's all out there. So real quick, I'm just going to move my camera over so that way we can kind of focus a little bit here on what we have within our domain claim. So with that list, what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of different information about how active this workspace is, how many people are in it, if it's a paid workspace, it's a free workspace. The things really for this next part of the migration that you're really going to want to focus on are these aspects that I have up here. So first, you're going to have your workspace ID. So this is kind of like think of it like your workspace's employee ID. It's a number that is unique to that workspace. So you're going to want to make sure you have that. You're going to have it's called team domain. So in this sense, it's going to be whatever the thing was called. In this sense, it's called Slack Community Leads. So you'll just kind of add .slack.com at the end of that domain. And then your primary owner's email address. This is the person you're going to want to contact with to kind of schedule the migration and kind of make sure that they have everything on their front. So these are the 3 kind of really important things when you go into a migration you want to make sure that you have. I'll move myself back down here. There we go. So migrations. Basically what we're talking about here is we're talking about that enterprise grid that we were talking about before, where you have multiple different workspaces living under one house. So what we're looking to do here is we're taking one individual workspace that was created by this guy, and we're going to take that workspace and now move it into our enterprise grid so that that way we can get all that information, be able to glean it, so that way we get better AI insights. So like I said before, you're going to set up a migration request with that workspace. So that workspace ID, that workspace user URL, and the owner contacts, you're going to want to use that. You'll see in our demo here in just a second where you're going to populate all that stuff up. You'll also want to kind of do like a workspace audit. You can get some help with your CSM. Basically just kind of resolve any issues, like if there's user email. So let's say I have a user email like in the enterprise grid that's different within this individual workspace. I'm going to create what's called duplicate accounts. So you want to just kind of make sure everybody's email is the same from the workspace moving into the enterprise grid. You'll want to make sure there's no, kind of role conflicts, that proper SSO has been set up within the enterprise grid, that all your settings match. And the other big thing is you want to make sure data retention matches. So this is kind of one I always point out with people when it comes to migrations. If, let's say, your enterprise org is set to 90 days retention, so after 90 days everything is cleared out, any workspace that gets migrated into it is going to, the org settings are going to overwrite the workspace settings. So in that sense, so let's say I bring a workspace in and they don't know about 90 days, that'll delete out a bunch of their history past 90 days, so we wouldn't be able to gather and understand all that information. So you'll want to really kind of make sure you announce that up front and kind of work through any of those kinds of issues up front with your settings. Then you're going to have a scheduled migration time, basically where you schedule the time out. You'll have a downtime estimation. And basically the way this kind of works is this is like the hard downtime where the workspace that's migrating in will not be able to communicate out, including Slack Connect channels or things of that nature. So you want to kind of make sure to do this during off hours and really kind of let people know, hey, this is how long the downtime is going to be. And then what's called a re-indexing period. This can take about 24 to 48 hours. This is basically just kind of reorganizing everything so that way the search tool that I showed you at the beginning is able to glean and see all the proper information. So steps for success: have that workspace owner give you an audit of any users and applications that they're already using in their workspace, so that way you can kind of see, like I said before, not having duplicate users, or see if they have any applications that they're using and making sure that those are procured properly or used kind of properly. And then communicate obviously to your users of those expected downtimes and what they should kind of know as far as signing into the workspace for the first time. And then obviously use the migration dashboard for self-service. I'm going to take you through that right now. In my opinion, this is kind of one of the great hidden features that Slack has put out in the last couple of years, where administrators have the ability to schedule and do their own migrations within Slack. So what I'm going to show you right now, this is the kind of the backstage area of Slack. This is the org administrator dashboard. And basically from here, you're able to kind of do all the fun stuff that that's needed to administer a workspace. We're just going to go take a look at workspaces here, and we're going to go over to migrations. So we're going to click on migrate workspace. Now all that information I showed you before, the workspace ID and the workspace URL, this is where you're going to input that information into. So we're going to put our workspace ID and our URL in there, and then we'll click on that green button to send the migration request. So what that does is basically sends a alert notice to the migrating workspace that says, hey, do you accept this migration request? And you'll want to make sure you have that owner, or whoever the primary org owner is, accept that request. And then you'll have to wait about a day or so that way Slack gets a chance to kind of glean through everything and get a good idea of how long this migration itself is going to take. So once you kind of do that, you'll come here to this checklist. So you'll notice everything is green here right now. When you do go through here, they'll be kind of like step by step. Hey, this is what you'll need to do, and it'll direct you to helpful help articles to make sure that like we said before, there's no displacement of users, there's proper SSO, things of that nature. You'll notice though at the bottom here, I have the scheduling the migration. You'll see at the bottom it says the migration will take about an hour with estimated downtime of about 45 minutes. Also, if you need to check on any users, you can click on the migrating users here, so that way they can easily be switched over from their old email address to their new email address, and then look at any kind of setting conflicts. This is like what I was talking about earlier with conflicts of data retention. You can kind of resolve a lot of that stuff here. So once you have all that stuff resolved, you're going to go to schedule the actual migration. So you'll click on the schedule migration. You'll set up a time for when you want to do it. The nice thing about this too is you can set and schedule the migration, and then you could potentially, if you need to go ahead and change it, you can go back in that schedule migration and change it for whatever time for whatever reason that you need. So now we've taken all of this information. We've taken this one workspace that we didn't realize was there. We found it, and then we were able to pull it into our enterprise grid. And now we can better search and glean and use our AI insights to get better answers like you saw at the beginning of the video. But that's not the only benefit. You get also better collaboration. By bringing these workspaces together, you can bring users and teams together who may not have had an open line of communication like they did before. One of the nice things about Enterprise Grid is maybe not everybody's in the same workspaces, but everyone can DM each other. So that way you can kind of easily communicate with others without having to worry about setting up a Slack Connect channel or anything like that. And then also, obviously, you have better control of your data. So with domain claim, no one can create any more new workspaces without your approval. And everything that you migrate in, now you own and have together. All right, well, that was quite a bit. And I want to thank you all so very much for taking the time out here to join me on this. And we will talk to you again soon.